Fired up. It's made a great decision.
Great teammates, coaches, and other people who want to be Super Bowl champions. And we are. We're going to do it this year.
And we're going places because we want to go places.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with the All-22 look at the Lions and Dolphins. Today, we are taking a look at the offensive side of the ball, specifically focusing on the passing attack for the Lions. We will throw in a few running clips, specifically some of the negatives. There was actually a lot of good running the football. I thought Jamal had a pretty good day, specifically in this game. We didn't see a ton of DeAndre Swift, but he did do a little bit in the pass game for us. He had the touchdown. Jason Mitchell got a reception in this game, so we'll take a look at that play as well. But as I stated, I think yesterday, I feel like this could have been the best game that Goff has played so far this season. This was definitely one of his better ones. Statistically, it checked out, right? Over 300 yards, 27 for 37, a touchdown, no picks, 108 passer rating. But just by the film, I thought he looked good. I thought his decision-making was good. I thought he saved a couple plays, like the messed up flea flicker. There was one where the snap was at his feet that he got it out, and we picked up a big gain. So I thought he is really under control in this game. Obviously, he caught one of his own passes. I don't even know how that counts, actually. I think that counts as a reception for him. I didn't check the box score, but I would assume that counts as a reception for Goff. He caught his own pass, all right? There was a couple that were batted down, but then you saw him adjust to it. So we're going to take a look at a few plays here, specifically with this passing attack and the success that the Lions had. And also in the second half, we know a lot of went wrong with shooting ourselves in the foot, whether that's penalties, maybe a drop by St. Brown, which we'll take a look at. So we'll take a look at a few plays there, but we're also going to take a look at some good. So let's start this off with the first play from scrimmage offensively for the Lions. Not a lot crazy here, but we started off, with these simple little plays. And I just show this because this is what Miami was in a lot. Also, I still love the motion and how the Lions utilized that. I heard someone else discussing this with actually Miami, and it got me to really thinking about the Lions and where they're going about this. Obviously, we just made the TJ Hockenson trade, and I could see the vision being like this. What we've known since Ben Johnson has taken over and so far through the season is that the Lions have been one of the best teams against zone coverage. Obviously they run the ball pretty darn well, one of the better teams at running the football, which is huge. That sets everything up. But when talking about passing the football, Lions have been one of the best teams since Ben has taken over at attacking zone coverage. Their play designs have been great. I think a massive part of that is pass protection. Zone coverage, there's holes in zone. So if you get time in the pocket, you can find, and your quarterback can find those holes and he knows where to look, you can attack zone coverage. And the Lions have had a lot of success doing that so far this season. They have since Ben Johnson's taken over. Where they've had struggles is when teams play very good man coverage in the back end and we struggle to get separation. In that first look or the second read, they're not there. And then we're trying to get beyond that, and a team with a good pass rush, but most teams by then are usually going to get some pressure. There was pressure in this game. Jalen Phillips got us, multiple times in this one. But the Lions have been able to attack zone coverage. But when you look at the future outlook, why drafted Jameson? Why did they sign a DJ Chark and that type of receiver? And I think the Lions kind of alluded to it, but the guys that they can get that can make it so defensively it's difficult to man press the Lions defensively. Like, for example, you take a look at a team like Dolphins. It's hard to man press Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right? You can't really do that. You're going to get blown by majority of the time. You're just at too much of a risk there. Now, we'll talk about the defense, I think, more tomorrow, but we know we played a lot of zone in this game. Apparently, they wanted them to be a little bit more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. So press zone, that's a little bit different. We talked about it. We can usually attack zone and our pass protection. We have one of the better offensive lines, even with missing pieces. So more often than not, you're banking on those guys to win their battle and give us enough time. So then it's about, can we keep teams from having really good corners on the outside and just shutting down our first couple of looks for the quarterback and then getting us into trouble. And that's what Jameson, I think, eventually is going to be for, not just the deep shot. And it got me to thinking because, when Tyreek Hill went to Miami, the thought was, well, man, he's just going to run deep. And yeah, he does get over the top, and he did a couple times on us. But also just that impact that he has. And I see similarities with J-Mo. J-Mo can get over the top, just like Khalif could get over the top. And we're going to hit shots with him. I don't doubt that at all. But the impact that he can have, because his press release, it's going to be difficult for teams to hang with. And if you mess up there and you get beat off the line, now you're in trouble. So having guys like that on the outside makes it difficult for teams to play that. And when we talk about dictating coverage, not only about safety help, things of that nature, but that's a way to dictate coverage defensively. It's like, hey, you don't want to do that to us because we're going to give you problems. And when the Lions have had problems this year, New England. They didn't have a DJ Chark in that game to win on the outside. Of course, they didn't have J-Mo. Dallas, at times, not having St. Brown. So just limiting some of those weapons that we had that could win one-on-ones. So I just got me to thinking a little bit, hearing about the Dolphins, talking about the Dolphins, the timing offense they run, seeing what they do. And I know we run a timing offense as well. That comes back a little bit to the Hockenson thing where, again, I say the Lions need to get another big-time impact number 2 this offseason, assuming J-Mo will be the number 1. That can do a similar thing. And if you have that, it's going to be tough for teams, and you can really dictate that defensively, especially with your run game. But with all that being said, this first play, cover 3 defensively. Dolphins did a lot of it. Here's their safety, Javon Holland. Cover 3, little sky coverage here. This is simple. We've seen this a lot where Jared Goff basically just holds the eyes of the corner. But what's the little things about this offense that I really like? It's the chip flats that I like from tight ends. It's all the timing, okay? When we say timing offense, there's different ways to think of that, but I definitely think this is part of it. Sorry if it's a little bit blurry. But when you have got like a running back stay in the backfield and then pop out before the cornerback sees it, or when you have a receiver like St. Brown break off his route right behind the linebacker. We saw Khalif Raymond do that, I think, earlier this season. It's things like that, the chip flats that get someone wide open because of the timing, and all of a sudden the cornerback's taking on the play in zone coverage. There's holes in zone, and Ben Johnson's done a fantastic job of, he'll run same concepts similarly over and over, but they're difficult to defend, and his timing has been really good. So let's take a look at this one. Hopefully it doesn't freeze. It is going to. And note, take a look at 43 down here, linebacker Van Ginkel. I love that name, by the way. With the fast motion in there for TJ Hockenson, it does pull the linebacker in even tighter to the play. It did do a lot of 3 defensive backs. On this play, they have 4 defensive backs on the field, so I just want to point that out. But play action, okay, now these linebackers drop out. They jump on the run, then they're dropping out because it's like, oh, we got to get depth. We're in zone coverage, we got to get depth. So that's the natural instinct. This outside receiver is going to take this outside cornerback. There's nothing underneath, and in a cover 3 drop, he has that deep third. So he's going to take him with him, and then he's going to break inside. That's Josh Reynolds. Now the linebackers get depth. Goff eyes goes to Josh Reynolds. Ginkel would usually have that flat zone coverage because of the fast motion in and the play action, where now he's dropping to get depth. There was no receiver seemingly pre-snap that he would have to worry about once TJ Hockenson left. But then it's the running back that they use to hide, where usually where he would be in zone, that is now created with the movement and the play action. Sneaks out of the backfield. And also credit Hockenson here with some good pass protection on the outside. Again, I think that's an area where we don't have many more, but in pass protection, I thought that was where he maybe has improved the most. Even in this game, there's another good one. That one was pretty good there too. Allowed him to get it off, and you find Jamal, and then it's just, hey, one-on-one, make a play. And there you go. Jamal picks up 10 yards on the first down from scrimmage. A lot there. Each play won't take that long to explain, but I just wanted to start off with something light and then get it rolling. Those, I don't know if I want to say 8-man boxes. Yeah, I guess it is an 8-man box, right? Okay, so you have 5 guys across, 3 off-ball backers. They did this a few times in this game to adapt for a run game. It still allowed us to have 2 receivers on the field, St. Brown and Khalif, Hockenson and Brock. We know that those guys are still definitely part of the pass game. Even without Hawk, I assume that they will be, because James Mitchell's a nice receiving target. Brock Wright, you know, again, he can be a serviceable number 2, but I think James Mitchell is a good receiving target, and he could eventually be that for us for sure as long as he's healthy, and we saw a little bit of that flash in this game. But we'll take a look at this one. This one is a heck of a ball by Goff. Maybe one of his better throws this season, in my opinion. It's also good pass protection. We get time in the pocket. They're going to go man coverage in the back end. They're stacked up. Khalif is on the ball, but that's going to switch off to this cornerback. As you can see here, it's going to switch off to that cornerback. So now there's that separation that's created. He's got inside leverage. He's going to be forcing that into the safety. But what I really like is not only good pass protection and a fantastic pocket for Goff to hit this pass, but because of that, and you don't have to worry about that, utilizing his eyes. Look at where the safety is looking. Okay, this didn't happen by accident. That's Jared Goff holding the safety out here, pulling him outside, knowing that this safety, Javon Holland, who's a good coverage safety, he is being forced, the receiver is being forced to him with the outside leverage cornerback. Well, once he starts to run this way to worry about this because of Goff eyes, Goff can put it back, and that was a heck of a throw. Now, we've seen this season, Lions usually do a lot of that dagger where usually Khalif would just break and run up that seam, and then you'd have St. Brown come underneath. But I do think with some of the personnel, having that be St. Brown, who's going across the middle, you don't know speed-wise if he's going to create enough separation where that's going to be open for Goff to come underneath to, even if the safety dives over top. And then, of course, if the safety drops down on the dig route, now it's one-on-one over top, but that's a long way to throw a football. So this little tweak that they made to a concept they did do all the time, which I'm sure, you know, they probably saw on film, utilizing their play action. And again, you kind of take linebackers out of this play because of how deep this is. It's just a matter of, and it's man coverage, but it's just a matter of pass protection, and that's good. So look at Goff's eyes here. You see where he's looking? He's looking at this outside St. Brown shot play. Here goes the safety. Khalif creates a little separation there, a little bit at the top, but mainly it's that outside leverage that he's playing, and then just a pretty ball. I mean, that thing was on target. Can we look at that one more time just to take a look at it? This was money. Yeah, that was money. Like Khalif Raymond could be better than maybe he's even utilized. And now, as you're seeing, they're utilizing him. They had shots last game with Dallas, but they got obviously sacked, or there was a missed blown block. But as you're seeing, when we pass protect, Khalif can get over the top and create some separation. But that was a heck of a ball. One of the better ones from Goff. Now, here's where we talk about that timing, which I think is just super underrated with this Lions offense. I think it's really cool to take a look at. So, again, 3 defensive backs on this play. They have 8 guys in the box to stop this run. Lions pull the offensive lineman, which brings the linebackers down. But it's not that you need to focus on. What you got to focus on is what we do with Brock Wright and James Mitchell here, both inline tight ends. They're going to bring T.J. Hockenson across the field. Brock Wright's going to step inside of James Mitchell and run up the seam. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to take this cornerback and have him run up with Brock Wright on the play. So let's take a look at how this works. As Brock Wright breaks up the seam and James Mitchell continues to pass protect here, you can see that the timing works perfectly. As Goff rolls out, it's a play fake. He's looking down that way. Cornerback turns and runs with Brock Wright. Now, as it's a chip flat and he lets go, now there's no one here for James Mitchell. There's no one in coverage there on James Mitchell in this zone coverage drop. So there's no one actually matched up with James Mitchell. So the cornerback leaves that area because of Brock Wright, as well as does the linebacker. It's fantastic timing. It's a heck of a setup. And again, if this is man, this may look a little bit differently. But since it's zone coverage, it looks like it does, and there's no one covering him, and it's just great timing. And it picks up 14 yards. By the way, I love how James Mitchell runs with the ball in his hands. He did this back in college. He runs like really tight. It looks kind of weird, but it's also kind of cool. It's very unique. He doesn't look like everybody else running the ball. Let's take a look. You see how well that's set up. Look at him run, though. Look at that. You ain't stripping that guy. Come on, man. Big shot plays. Now, this one's interesting. This one would definitely give me problems. I know that for sure. So they go into like a cover 2 drop, but it's a disguised cover 2. Again, the Lions utilize the motion. You'll see it from the other angle and why he looks where he does. Let's see if we can get this thing to load. Okay, here we go. You got to take a look at this play, though. This one's cool. So that one was just kind of the quick curl that they've done the last few weeks to just get it out there to Josh. But here we go. Here's the motion that the Lions move. Now, they're going to be dropping into zone coverage. What they're going to do is they're going to bring the cornerback off T.J. Hockenson here, and he's going to rush the quarterback. And then they're going to drop Javon Holland out to this half of the field in zone coverage, this cover 2 drop. This cornerback is going to drop into this safety position, and then the safety currently here is going to drop down and play underneath cover 2 coverage, okay? So he's going to be one of the underneath defenders on this play. So it's a really tricky disguise, but watch how Goff handles this. So we get zone coverage. Now, this is a play where I feel like, because of the motion, he felt like it was some sort of zone. No one moved with Khalif. There was no movement. Okay, it looks like zone coverage. All right. May not be. But if it's man coverage, I definitely think that down here is where he would probably look. Reason being, look how they run this route. So they do kind of that, okay, St. Brown just outside of Josh, and then St. Brown's going to drag underneath. That's going to cause them to switch. And that usually creates like natural separation between the defensive back and St. Brown. And then, of course, if that wasn't there, he could look over top to Josh Reynolds because it would be man coverage on the dig route. But this is not. This is going to be zone coverage on this play. So he starts to the left. And look at this, how they do this defensively. This is tricky. So here goes Howland. Here goes the safety dropping to the underneath coverage. I believe this is their safety. And then they're going to bring the cornerback off the edge. So they're only bringing a 4-man rush, right, because they drop out. But it's just tricky. So Goff starts left, but watch what he does on this play. So you have the flat corner route, and that is a zone beater, as we know it can be, right? It can put you in conflict defensively with that outside cornerback in a basic cover 2, right? If he drops and gets depth, okay, great, I'm throwing the flat route. If he bites down to the flat, okay, I'll go over top and I'll hit it between the safety. On this play, it is a cover 2, but it's weird because they disguise it, but it still works. The principle still works because of how they handle this. So they pick up the pass pro, but watch Goff. You see him, he's going to utilize this pump fake and pull this corner out of the play. It's a little bit harder to tell from this angle. I'll show you the other one. He pulls him down and creates this space with Hockenson. He's throwing it before Hockenson even sees it. Javon Holland has a long way to go to get to that position, starting on the left side of the field, working all the way to the right side of the field, and playing that half. That's a long way for Holland to go, and also Hockenson works upfield and then breaks out. So you're creating that separation with a good route on this play, but obviously, you see what he does after the catch, picks up some big-time yards. And again, I think James can do that. I think he can run after the catch, and he's got some scoot to him. But regardless, let's take a look at how this works out. This is really cool. This is really cool. Okay, so he starts left with that flat, and look at this. You see the little fake? Boom. Cornerback bites down. Now he comes back to this corner route where there's a separation from Hawk, who obviously the corner's already on the inside. Then he breaks outside. There's even more room, and he puts it on him, and that's a huge pickup for the Lions. But very good reaction there to that disguise coverage. I know that would trip me up. It seems like he knew it was zone, but I don't know if he knew what type it was. But once it got rolling, just utilizing his eyes there and then taking advantage of it. But again, we talk about pass pro. He had good time in the pocket, and that is what makes playing zone coverage difficult. Usually the saying is, well, teams play zone to try to mess up the quarterback. Teams play man when they feel like they have the matchups. Well, in this case, teams are really struggling to play zone against us. We'll take a look at this touchdown. The play before was to Khalif. No one really got open. I can see why he looked there, though. You would expect him to get that separation in man. But regardless, let's take a look at this one. They're just going to do the old-fashioned angle route with DeAndre Swift, and they're going to run up the seam vertically here with TJ Hockenson. Now, the more I see this, the more I could see any really tight end getting this kind of attention. I don't know if this is because it's TJ Hockenson that he gets that attention. I don't think that it is. You're going to see how they play it here. They're going to switch it off. You can see how they switch off in the red zone. That's what teams usually do. They play man and then they switch off. So this safety is going to be on the inside with the outside leverage, because obviously if this safety was not here, you would just throw it up in the inside and be like, okay, my guy is way too big. It's tight end on cornerback. We're winning the matchup. So any tight end, you may have this matchup, any tight end with any kind of size. That leaves it to being one-on-one here with the running back, with DeAndre Swift, and he just runs the angle route and beats the running back. It's so difficult for a linebacker to cover that when he's working outside, then having to come back inside, and his eyes go here, even though that doesn't really impact anything because they're just switching in man coverage. But you can see that's tough for a linebacker. And I think that was what, Jerome Baker, touchdown, beautiful route. Show this one real fast, even though this one was incomplete and we tried to challenge it, didn't happen. But I just like St. Brown's route here. Khalif gets held up a little bit. We talk about the press man. I like St. Brown's route here. Look how much separation he creates at the top of that route. That is pretty. That's against Howard, who is their top cornerback, and he creates a lot of separation at the top of this route. They're going to give you like that split zone type of look on this play. But look at this route that he runs here. Man, that thing is nasty at the top to create that kind of space. And he gave him a chance. He put it on him. It's just they ended up not reversing that, but it was incomplete. But I thought at least showed it was a good route from Saint. That's why I give so much credit to Ben Johnson, because he does a great job of giving the quarterback answers, whether that's man or zone. This next play looks very similar, where if this is man coverage, he could go to the right side. If it's zone, he could go and attack the left. And as you see, they utilize the motion. They're showing that cover 3 drop once again here with the safety down. So it looks like zone coverage based on the motion. It could be man coverage, but it looks on zone just based on how they're lined up pre-snap, and that's what it's going to be. But watch how they create this, okay? So they're going to have TJ Hockenson work up the seam. Then they're going to have St. Brown basically curl around and just sit down right behind this linebacker who's working out into the flat of the cover 3 drop, right? He has that flat, which is DeAndre Swift, because otherwise that would be open. So you have this combination to beat that cover 3 that they like to sit in on one side. And then on the other side, they go man coverage. I could see how this, even though the principles kind of are similar here, I can see how this would be where you look. Again, they kind of stack it, and they sit Khalif Raymond underneath, and then they run the deep dig route. He still could have went this direction. He still could have went that direction regardless, but you got the zone drop, so you attack with your zone beater side, and it makes it really easy on the quarterback, I think. But look at this one. I just like the answers that we find here. As you can see, he's got the flat, he's got the hook. Now they're going to bring the blitz off of this side with the blitz off this side with the linebacker, so who's usually in this hook area in the cover 3. Usually he's sitting right here. On this case, he's not, because they blitz that side. So maybe it's a little bit more of like, okay, let's match up a man. But on the flip side, you do get that zone coverage look, and just watch how they attack this. Seam route, curl route, flat route. Let's take a look. I like St. Brown how he breaks this right behind the linebacker. As soon as he gets behind the linebacker and out of his vision, he sits it down, because you're trying to create this separation with the corner, and Hawkinson's route is just going to take this linebacker and create that space and distance for that hole for Goff to put it in, and boom, there you go. He puts it in that hole. Here we talk about beating that man coverage. So this is a low snap, a bad snap that he basically picks off the ground, and that's why the timing is a little bit weird with it, but they force the defense to switch. So they bunch it up here on the right side with Josh Khalif and St. Brown, and they're going to hit St. Brown. You can see why this causes issue, because St. Brown is going to go underneath of Josh Reynolds on this play. So that's not how they're lined up pre-snap, right? You can see how they're lined up pre-snap and how this would match up. Okay, boom, 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 easy enough. But Josh Reynolds is going to get on top of St. Brown, and St. Brown is going to break that underneath. Now, he's not going to continue to drag across. He's going to run a whip route back outside with who has the underneath drag. So in this case, Khalif Raymond underneath drag, the tight corner is going to go and and run with that, because if it was this cornerback, now there's that separation that he's trying to catch up to. So the press tight corner is going to get up and he's going to jump off and take Kalif Raymond. Okay, so now you got 2-on-2. So where that causes an issue here is because of how they release off the line. Josh released on top, so now you have this communication where they have to figure out who takes who, and then there's that space that's created. Once the outside corner eventually gets on Josh Reynolds, then it's St. Brown and Javon Holland, but Javon Holland is on the inside. So because of how he released, the outside corner takes Josh Reynolds outside, and then the inside cornerback is taking St. Brown. But the issue with that is that you almost caused kind of a natural pick here. The issue with that is that he's on the inside, he's whipping back outside, so now there's no one out here in this area. So again, great way to create separation against this man coverage that they're playing. They're showing like a cover one look pre-snap. You're going to see how the ball, they bring a cover one blitz. You can see how the ball, he picks it up off the ground, but that's why the ball comes out a little weird. There's a little pressure here. It ends up being picked up. I think that was a big part of this game too. DeAndre Swift was great from what I've seen in pass protection. I thought he was doing a really good job in picking up a lot of these extra rushers, but he just fires it out as soon as he picks it up. Not going to wait. Makes a ton of sense. Why risk a sack? And then he picked up 21 yards on that play. That's just a fantastic play design. And if I'm correct, yeah, that was a 3rd down and 4. So a 3rd down and 4, and you can see this on the film of Miami to pass. They like to play man press. Okay, cover one blitz. 3rd down and 4, they're going to cover one blitz. We got to have a beater for that and something quick. Pick up pass protection and then a quick whip route. Easy money. Let's get another shot play. Because, yeah, we had a few in this game, and that was so nice to see, by the way. Okay, three defensive backs are playing. Again, they're set to stop the run, as the Lions are going to be in 12 personnel, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Lions are going to do the play action here, but you kind of take them out of the play. Play action has a big part of this. It's very important because it kind of takes out the defender that would be in this sky positioned under as a zone coverage defender. It kind of takes him out of the play. You can see 43 here, and then 55 is in the middle of this zone coverage. But it takes this defender out of the play, worried about the run fake. And then it's the route on top of that where you just put this cornerback in a conflict, and I think it's not a terrible decision. He points it off and he's saying, hey, Javon Holland, take this route. I'm going to sit here underneath with this out route from TJ Hockenson, because of course if he follows up the route and the safety is going to have to pick up the route as well. Now they got 2-on-1 and TJ Hockenson's uncovered, and you know he might score a touchdown. But with this confusion and this conflict that they put him in, as he passes this off to Javon Holland, Kalif Raymond's route attacks at the safety and then boom, breaks it outside. He's running full speed. The safety's backpedaling at this point, and there's no chance for him to catch up to that. And then, of course, you put it on him, just rushing it in for a touchdown. Now here we're getting a zero coverage look defensively, no safeties deep. We're putting everybody in the line. This is the Lions type of coverage here, right? And the Lions, what I like here is that they do kind of what they've done a lot with TJs. They would put TJ in the slot and then have an outbreaking route, and then you have a go route. But in this case, they have Hockenson in line to pass protect, who does a good job on this play. Swift, you can see the pass rush pickup that he has, which is perfect, which gives Goff time to put this up. 3rd and 10 and stuff. It's a long way to go, so you're hoping that pass rush is going to get there before they can get the ball to that depth. Well, the Lions have a good route for it, but then it's just about the simple fact, hey, can we pick up the rush? And Swift does a great job. The left side of the line does a good job as well, and Hockenson holds his own quickly. And because of that, pretty simple. You have a go route and you have an out route with St. Brown, and that's all it is. That's all it is on this play, and he wins it with man coverage. Look, here we go. Boom. And that's just easy. Good timing, good pass protection, 12 yards. They're kind of in that like 2-minute drill that they were in. No huddle here, and because of the no huddle, they did create some chaos when they went to this no huddle on this drive after the fake punt. Here though, no huddle, they create man coverage. You got to cover one look, and it's just a very similar thing. But I like how they do this. This is what I was trying to mention before, is how they have Josh Reynolds kind of release inside and then St. Brown to create a little bit of like a pick play for the cornerback. That one doesn't get that much connection, but as you can see, they pick up like 6 or 7 yards on that one. See, I'll show this because we're going to see it later and see how Goff kind of utilizes, and it was on that last offensive drive, how he uses his eyes in actually this chip flat route, which usually you kind of think is like, oh, that's the check down, right? He's just checking it down. But I do think a lot of this time it is the design based on the coverage that they're in, where it's like, hey, chip flat, yeah, it's just a check down. But at the same time, it picks up good yards because of the coverage that they're in. So they're going back with a cover 3 here. You can see their safety in the box. You can see kind of that cover 3 buzz look. And on this play, the Lions did this later in the game. They've done this a few times. They have the chip flat. 2 vertical routes from Kalif Raymond and St. Brown. So he's going to take the attention of both your outside zone player, and of course your cornerback's going to drop and get depth. And then also your buzz player, which is Javon Holland on this play, is going to get depth here as well. And then it's because TJ Hockenson drops out late. Now the cornerback has turned and ran beforehand, and there's the space that you create, and then Goff's eyes, he's just looking downfield, backing up the safety, and as soon as he jumps inside, Goff lets go of the football. Stands in, takes the hit. You got to have good pass protection. It's so important to consistently be good against zone coverage, as good as you want to be and pick up chunk plays and things like that, to have good pass protection. And this, in an obvious passing down, you had that. But look at Goff's eyes here. He's just going to hold that safety, and as soon as that safety jumps in, boom, he's going to come back to the flat route and create that space, and that's an 11-yard pickup. Like, very similar to what the Vikings did against us, very similar to me when we just kind of ran like the deep curl and St. Brown sat down and caught the game winner. Very similar to that, but the Lions are getting this zone look underneath, and they're just going to probably switch everything off. So they do something similar. This, I don't think it's the same play because St. Brown like sat down in the end zone. I don't think it's the same play. It looks like Josh ran more of like a slant, but it looks very similar. All they do is they attack both of these zone underneath defenders by Goff holding there. He doesn't even need to look at Josh Reynolds. He doesn't need to look there because you're just taking these guys out of the play, and it's like, okay, just get inside. And the safety sitting back on this play, boom. He could have caught the football. It was right on him. He dropped it. But the play design, you know, it looked very similar to that Vikings one. Talk about what the heck happened in the second half, okay? What went wrong in the second half for the Detroit Lions, right? They had 3 possessions. They didn't score on any of them. It wasn't necessarily the fact that, like Dan said, they did anything different, because they really didn't do anything different. They played their same coverages and things like that, and we were attacking them. We were having success. But when you shoot yourself in the foot, well, that's going to be the big difference. And we ran the ball pretty well in the first half, which was big too. So when you tie false starts and holdings, which gets you behind the chains, and then you have a negative or, you know, a negative run or whatever it is, now yourself in a really bad spot. Well, in this case, this was a positive run, but the issue behind it is that you were called for holding, which would have made it, I think, 2nd and 12, but you get a holding, so now instead of 2nd and 12, it's actually going to be 1st and 25 because the first play was a false start. So it's all a domino effect. Penny Sewell was called for a false start, then he's called for a holding here. Now, this play, we'll take a look at how it happens. They come out in the pistol. They're going to use Brock Wright, who's in motion, to lead block, and then they're also going to pull Evan Brown around the right guard to kind of fill here and take up that block. But Swift immediately bounces towards the outside. He picked up 3 yards, but because he bounces that way, and obviously the play's not designed to go that direction because of the pulling offensive lineman, Penny Sewell is called for a hold. It's kind of in like a pass set, like a short set, as they're running a power play with the offensive lineman. I think Swift gets a little bit spooked. I know a lot of times they usually look at the defensive lineman. The defensive lineman is going to get inside here, kind of in that A gap. But Brown's going to pick up his block, and then Brock Wright's going to pick up his block as well on Jalen Phillips. Scoot ahead a little bit. I'm going to have to look at it from the other angle. You know, it's just weird, man. Sometimes it just decides to freeze. We'll take a look at it from this angle and what happened, and we'll take a look here. So, boom, you get that double team block. Now, Evan Brown's got to go up and pick up this linebacker, which he does. He picks up the linebacker, and Brock Wright's got to pick up Jalen Phillips to create this crease. And there was a little bit of a hold there. Now, he was on the inside of the A gap, but everybody is blocked up. Everybody is, right? You get the original double team, then you kind of slide off and work upfield. Everybody is blocked up. It would have been a tight crease, but everybody was, and I think he was spooked a little bit here, it looked like, by Jalen Phillips and how much depth he got, and then asking Brock Wright to pick it up. It looked like he was spooked there, and you could see there is a hole. It would have been tight, but instead he decides to bounce it. And where that gets him isn't necessarily that, you know, maybe it was a terrible decision, but it's because Penny Sewell's not set that direction, right? He's saying just as the backside. Once the defender gets off him, he still shouldn't have held, but he gets caught for a holding, and that's what kills it. Is now it's 1st and 25 instead of a 2nd and 12. That's the killer there. The very next play, you get another zone drop from the defense, and this play is batted at the line. And I will show this quickly because he did adapt to getting the ball batted at the line of scrimmage. Something similar to just kind of sit down. They've done this a ton, but that one gets it's deflected at the line, and now it is a 2nd down and 30, or it's like a 3rd and 30, and basically that kills the drive. They go check down, and that ends the possession. So that's a great example of shooting yourselves in the foot. All the penalties that we had on that first one, we got ourselves in 1st and 30. Then you had a pass deflected, and at that point, you got 2 plays to get 30 yards. You're in a really bad spot defensively, and that's basically what happened. So this is the second drive. What happened here? We talked about batting passes at the line, so we just saw that. Well, how do you adapt to that, right? Do you continue to just keep throwing it and having it batted at the line? Well, in this play, it looks like Goff, to me, adapts to the ball being batted down at the line of scrimmage and does this a little bit differently. So, again, another cover 3 look here, another cover 3 sky look here with the safety, and he's going to utilize like a little bit of a pump fake, get the defensive tackle, I believe 94 here, to put his arms up, then he's going to come back to Brock Wright. Now, he holds in a long time. Yes, I think he could have just thrown this flat route, but he's also creating space for the drag across the field with this linebacker because, of course, they're all in zone coverage, right? So you have your flat here, you have your 2 hooks, and then you have another outside zone player. So when you have this drag, if you can take this linebacker and get him out of the play, now there is a lot of space for even potentially a catch and run on this play, and with Josh Reynolds dropping dropping into the middle of the field, if you can get some depth, you're creating a big hole. So he could have thrown this flat for sure, but he doesn't go that direction. But you can see how he uses his little pump fake. He could have thrown the flat the whole time, maybe pick up 2-3 yards, but he creates space and they pick up about 6 yards on this play. But I want to show the other angle because it's just, first off, it's great pass protection again. I mean, he had pretty good time to block. Yes, he took a hit. We know Goff will stand in and take hits. When he knows where to go with the football, he will stand in and take hits. But it's pretty good pass protection. But you see that little fake, gets the arms up in the air, and then he comes back here to Brock Wright. And that could have scared him off of throwing that. But I think it was just, hey, I'm going to fake it. Okay, arms go up, and then I'll come back middle. Just not worrying about it. This is the second possession. I don't actually think this was the drop that Campbell was talking about. Originally, I thought he was, but I was like, it was more of a pass breakup. I don't think it was. We'll take a look at the drop. But this drive obviously got shut down as well. We'll take a look at the next play. Here, we're going to get a man defensive look from the Dolphins, a cover one look, but they're going to bring the blitz as well with Javon Holland here. So Goff, to me, makes the right read, and they do kind of the same thing across the board. They do quicks, and then they run 2 fade routes here from their slot receiver, and then TJ Hawkinson's going to sit over the middle. So now you're looking for matchups. Khalif Raymond, you like his speed, one-on-one. That's my matchup, and he wins. He does win off the line of scrimmage. Goff, all he does on this play, you see the blitz, okay, that's coming. I start right, which in this case the safety's so deep it really doesn't matter, but you could hold that safety potentially, and then he comes back left and he immediately throws it. It's a good ball. It's a good ball. If anything, maybe he could have let it out a little bit further, but I think just the case is the defensive back was able to get back into the play because he started right and then came back left. Yeah, if he would immediately threw it right here, okay, perfect. That would have been even better, but it was actually not too bad of coverage. He recovered pretty well, but it was, I mean, for what I would look for from my quarterback, that's about as good as you can ask, and it was just a good play from the defensive back, but I think it was the right read. He got the blitz on the play. There was pressure. Decker was beat here, so he takes the hit, but he delivers a ball that's still very catchable. It's just good play by the defensive back. This kind of shuts down the drive because we ended up getting an offsides call on that play, which made it 2nd and 9, so it was like, okay, we're not in a bad spot, but the very next play, you have a negative 2-yard run. Now you're in 3rd and long. All right, let's take a look at how this negative 2-yard run comes about. Okay, it's going to freeze this way. We'll take a look from the backside angle. This play, they're running what looks like an outside zone to the weak side of the formation here. And I think what happens is they're trying to hit it up possibly this B gap. Looks like potentially on this play. Maybe they're trying to get it out to the C gap. And if that's the case, Decker probably just wants to get contact to not allow Jalen Phillips to get through and make it disruptive play in the backfield. Just get contact, and then he can work up towards the linebacker. But instead, Decker gets turned to this defender in Jalen Phillips on this play. He turns to him, and now it forces Jonah Jackson to try to get out and pick up this linebacker, and that's not going to happen. He has way too much ground to cover, and Jerome Baker's already getting out there. He's not going to be able to get up because he's got to get his contact, then get up, and then Jalen Phillips jumps inside, so Decker kind of swings to close that off, and this is going to be very difficult for Jonah Jackson to get out there and block it. I don't know if it's going to let us show it. Okay, showed the end of it, but we lost 2 yards because of that play. Difficult to be in 3rd and long because then there's decisions you have to make, right? Do you stand in and try to extend? I think Joe Burrow said it like, okay, but we have to take into consideration when the sacks are happening. If it's 3rd and long, I'll run around and take the sack because it's not a big deal, basically. Like, it's 3rd and long, I'm trying to extend the play and find someone. On this play, he does have Hawkinson. I still think maybe there's a shot Hawkinson does pick this up on this play, but they drop out into their zone cover 3 look defensively. So they didn't show that pre-snap, but they drop out into it, and there's pressure here off the edge, and there's also pressure with a little twist that they run in the interior, which we'll take a look at. Yes, he could have hit Hawk immediately. You see where they have to get to. He'd have to pick up like 4 yards after the catch, which I think is definitely possible. He could have hit him immediately, but he was waiting, it looked like, for his dig to develop right behind him. A defender kind of sit down here with TJ Hawkinson and Jalen Phillips. You can come back to this dig route, and it would have been there. But, of course, the issue is he doesn't have enough time to wait for that. So the best bet would have said hit Hawk immediately on this play. It still would have been a little bit difficult, but it was definitely there. It had a chance. That's because of where Jalen Phillips drops to. Like right here, he could have hit him. But with the pressure, and you'll see the kind of twist that they have on the interior and why that causes problems. But it's just difficult when you have the negative runs and the flags and things like that get you into bad spots. This drive not as much, but yeah, they run this twist on the inside, boom, with Frank Ragnow, and they're just late to pick up on it with Evan Brown and help out, and then they get the sack. Well, I did skip some plays here, but a lot of them were just underneath, some runs, some good stuff. We got to this point, and this was our final drive. We didn't get back on the field here. We'll take a look at kind of what led up to it. So this first play, they're showing man defensively. You can see that there was a lot of audibling at the line, which the All-22 doesn't show, but there was a lot of adjustments. So it looks like cover one man, okay, zone probably underneath, probably your whole player, and then you have man. That's what it looks like, and as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is a cover one blitz defensively. Okay, that's actually what it is, so it's not what I thought it would be pre-snap because of what it looks like. They're actually bringing the blitz, so now everybody's matched up and you have the one deep safety, and this is what they do in this situation. But the Lions have what they're looking for. They create space. First thing, we'll take a look. St. Brown is off the line of scrimmage. Okay, that's a big difference when you're in the slot as you get off the line of scrimmage, so it's more difficult to press that. Khalif Raymond is also off the line of scrimmage, just to point that out there. But TJ Hockenson and St. Brown, they're going to create, all they're going to do is they're going to create like a rub, drag route, and it's going to be dropped by St. Brown on this play. But you can see they drop out, so the Jared Goff is looking right first to this wheel route with Swift. We've seen this a lot. They do this inside the 25 and things like that a lot, just against man coverage. It's a man beater. And he comes back to it. Okay, there's Evan Brown being ran over, but you could see the ball. I mean, if he catches this, I'm not saying for sure he picks up the first down, but it definitely puts him a lot closer, considering that they would still have 2 downs to go pick it up. Right, it'd be a very different situation if it's a third down and 4 versus 4th down and 2. That drop right there was absolutely a killer. Okay, it definitely was, but it happens. I mean, this is why it's hard to have mistakes. Right, we scored 5 of 8 possessions. Usually that's good enough. 27 is usually pretty darn good. That's one of the best scoring teams in the league. But it's hard when you're struggling defensively because these things all get the spotlight because you can't afford some of these mistakes. And in this case, that's one of those tied along with the flags that happened earlier, and now here we are. I think they picked up a flag too. I don't know what the flag would have been on. This one goes to TJ Hockenson. So now it's 3rd down still, but now it's 3rd down and long. It's 3rd down and 13. So again, big difference there. But this is the play I wanted to touch on that I talked a little bit about later. So they're going to put everybody on the line of scrimmage. They're going to drop out into their cover 3 look defensively with 1, 2, 3, 4 rushers defensively. So they're dropping into their normal cover 3 look defensively on this play. But take a look at how Goff utilizes this. Okay, because originally I see this, I'm like, okay, maybe there's pressure, but there wasn't pressure on the play. So what is he doing? Well, as we talked about, 2 vertical releases, and then you have TJ Hockenson basically sit down into the flat. And in zone, you can create that with your eyes. It's a lot of utilizing your eyes to create space. And that's what they do here. So that's all that Jared Goff does here. As they drop out, there's also a little bit of pressure, so that could have just been naturally part of it, right? But either way, there's nowhere to throw the ball at this point. Now, yeah, there's nowhere to throw the football. So all you're doing here is you're kind of messing with this cornerback and saying, okay, we want to try to create something here. So what Goff does is he just backs up this cornerback by staring down St. Brown as he kind of drifts out, and then he can come back to TJ Hockenson and hit him for a pickup of 11. Now, we've heard Dan in the past say, staying in the pocket and holding and stuff, and that's why I was like, well, wait a minute, hold up. Well, I've never heard that before. I don't know. I thought at the time it was kind of an excuse. I think that was last year against Chicago. But it was last year against Chicago. But anyways, take a look at what he's doing. You can see how his eyes go here, and it backs up the cornerback, and then he fires it. Once he backs him up, he throws it down low. So it's a good job of just using his eyes to try to create more space for Hockenson. Hawk does a little bit after the catch to make it close. But it's those little things, right? Just doing a little bit more, and that's the comfortability I think there is within this offense. I think that's where we're at right now with this comfortability in Ben Johnson's offense right there. You see his eyes, and then he can come back down and hit Hawk, create some space. Now, as I said, I don't have an issue with it. I don't. I mean, definitely, yeah. If he had redoed it down, he'd probably be like, well, this guy was actually open. So they had a 0 coverage look originally. They switched in audible formations. Then the defense changed a little bit. Who's matched up on the tight end if it is man? Regardless, though, tight end's going to stay in the block. So you're kind of getting that cover 1 look defensively here. But let's take a look. So Goff said that the first thing that he was looking at was St. Brown. Okay, when we get man coverage, what have we talked about? They look over here. So St. Brown was his first look. This is where he's looking on the field. He's looking at this, 2-on-2, man-to-man. Well, St. Brown's running like an out route. He gets jammed. There's no flag there. It's within 5 yards, I think. Maybe something could have been thrown for sure. But he is pressed up, and he's kind of just walled up here. So he's not going to be a guy that he can throw it to. Because of the cover 1 defense that they're in, Javon Holland is on the left hash. Lions are on the left hash. He's playing to this side of the field on Khalif Raymond, right? He's playing to this side. So you're not anticipating that that's where I want to go. I got 2-on-2 with no safety up on this side of the field. That's where I'm looking. And the linebacker's not in play on St. Brown. So this is the right side of the field, and it's also the right side of the field to look at if you're Jared Goff, I believe, on this play. St. Brown gets taken away. Then he comes back to Josh Reynolds on this play. As it's not there, he can't really throw that. He comes back to Josh Reynolds. There's no safety help. Yes, obviously the safety's gone now, but that's because that's where Goff is going with the football, right? I mean, but I'm now having a problem with this. He's not wide open. Could there have been something called? Maybe. But, I mean, I think it just is what it is. I think he missed him. I mean, he tried to put it back here which I think is fine, trying to put it behind him, and he said they were on the same page with this. I just think maybe a little bit too much. Maybe you put a little bit too much on the football. Maybe if you take a little bit off of it and make it a little bit more of a kind of a jump ball situation. But regardless, I don't have an issue with him taking this shot. I don't. Right? That's your guy. He's one-on-one. There's no safety over the top, and they just did not connect. But I don't have a problem with that decision to take that shot. It just did not happen. We still had a chance to get off the field. It just didn't happen. But overall, that read was fine with me. Aside from that one, there was just a lot of good, I thought, from the quarterback playing this. So I thought it was one of his better games. Still not perfect, but I thought it was one of his better games, just comfortability-wise. And again, I just give so much credit to Ben. I thought the pass protection was pretty good. I mean, there were times Jalen Phillips got us a few times in this one, for sure. I marked him down for a few rushes. But specifically with like extra rushers, I thought we did a pretty good job picking those up. And that was the offense. The passing attack specifically. So we may dive into the defense tomorrow. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Pratt, for watching. This next week we have Green Bay. I am very interested to see this. I'm so excited for this Green Bay game, just because it's Green Bay, but also I'm interested to see our defense. Thank you, Pratt, for watching, and I'm out.